you go bankrupt. And there's a penalty for bankruptcy. Your credit sucks. You're very difficult to get a loan. Very, very difficult for people to trust you again. You have to earn that trust back. And even then, it's always going to be a stain on your record.
It's absolutely, he needs money.
You think he's going
Once
broke?
again, come on. Fighters like that always go broke.
Yeah, he's stupid. He's an idiot. He loves the fame and he loves the money. So ultimately, if you're just that money hungry and that fame hungry, you're going to just do whatever. You don't care what it is.
Joe Rogan just called out Jake Paul hard, saying all these lawsuit rumors and rigged fight claims have basically ruined his boxing reputation for good. People are saying Paul's fancy win record doesn't mean anything anymore because it's built on cherry-picked opponents and manufactured hype instead of real skill. Even if these accusations turn out to be false, the damage is already done. In fighting, your reputation is literally everything. Once people start questioning if your fights are real, your victories become meaningless, and your whole career turns into a joke instead of something respectable. That kind of reputation damage sticks around way longer than any payday.
Because there's a price that you pay that is not worth.
Listen, it's just not worth the headache. The whole fake fight controversy went absolutely crazy after that Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua match, with everyone pointing out weird stuff they noticed during the entire event. People couldn't wrap their heads around how Jake somehow lasted longer against Joshua than Francis Ngannou did, even though there's this massive difference in experience and knockout power. What was supposed to be this epic showdown between an internet celebrity and a legit former heavyweight champion ended up creating non-stop speculation, from suspicious training videos and sketchy betting patterns to loud commentators swearing the whole thing was more like WWE than actual boxing.
We're a week away from Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. What have we got here?
As I look at it, for the fans, it put boxing still on the map because it keeps boxing relevant. Having exhibition fights like this, different celebrities and different things like that. I look at it as a fun thing for fans and stuff like that. I don't really take it seriously, because we in the business of boxing. That right there is just exhibition stuff. But I'm hearing they say it's a real fight. But yeah, it's a real fight because both guys are getting in a fight. I'm still the one that be thinking certain things are scripted as well too. So, but we'll see. I always say may the best man win, and main thing about it, may those guys go in there and have a hell of a lot of fun.
You get what I'm talking about, right? Tons of experts have called this matchup completely ridiculous, highlighting the huge gap in experience, physical size, and fighting credentials between Paul and Joshua, with many saying the whole event felt more like entertainment than real competition. A content creator turned wannabe boxer with a 12-1 record climbing into the ring with a former two-time world heavyweight champion who's battled the best fighters on the planet his entire career. Most analysts describe the pairing as completely one-sided, with Paul looking more like a payday opponent than someone who actually deserved to be there. This just adds more evidence that the whole thing was designed for views rather than legitimate sport.
Jake Paul, fake Paul I call him, against Anthony Joshua. Massive unit, two-time world champ, still got a big punch. I think he's mentally fragile at world level if he goes against the big guns because of the knockout, especially the bar knockout when he got fucking splattered. You know what I mean? In round 5, and he got hurt early on and then got done, and he's not been in the ring for 13 months.
Yeah.
But can you see a world in which Jake Paul is competitive in this fight?
No.
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 How do you see the fight going if AJ takes it?
I'm being completely real here.
There's gonna be more drama coming. Simon Jordan threw even more gasoline on this fire by straight up claiming that Anthony Joshua could have finished Jake Paul whenever he wanted, but chose not to. Jordan's theory is that the fight needed to go multiple rounds to keep Netflix happy, not because of anything related to actual boxing. He basically said that Joshua's power, experience, and timing were so ridiculously superior to Paul's that ending it quickly would have destroyed the entertainment value and streaming numbers. Instead, the fight supposedly needed multiple rounds, fake drama, and artificial tension to justify the massive streaming platform and worldwide viewership. Jordan didn't provide any actual evidence, but his statements matched exactly what tons of fans were already thinking, that when huge money and streaming companies like Netflix get involved, putting on a good show can quietly become more important than having a real competition, making everyone wonder how genuine the fight actually was.
Look at it. Jake Paul posted on Twitter after the fight, jaw broken, heart and balls intact. That's a good thing. Time to rest, recover, and return to cruiserweight. I mean, he's coming out of it as if, well, yeah, I got battered in the end, but boy.
That's what he will do. I mean, it depends what you think this was. I mean, I never felt it was anything other than entertainment. I'm not surprised that it, I mean, Anthony Joshua could have knocked Jake Paul out anytime he wanted to. He didn't want to.
So why didn't he?
Because, well, when you're on a platform like Netflix that turns one-part episodes into a 6-part series, why would you think that part of their entertainment model is to have a 30-second fight? Why? Netflix, you watch a Netflix series, you can watch it and you can go, well, I get the gist of it. Why have you got to turn it into 10 episodes? Because I'm dying with boredom after episode.
Are you telling me that Netflix probably emphasised, listen, guys, take this as long as you can?
Anthony Joshua didn't step, irrespective. I sat to all these guys, whether it be Spencer or Paul Smith, talking about the fact that Jake Paul couldn't run, didn't have the footwork to be able to move around the ring and get away from Anthony Joshua.
Once everything was over, Ryan Garcia jumped on social media with a raw and bold reaction that grabbed massive attention throughout the boxing community. Garcia posted that while he gave Paul props for trying, he also threw out a harsh comparison involving Gervonta Davis, another major name in boxing. Garcia's post said he believed Gervonta would have handled Paul way worse, basically saying that Davis would have hit Paul much harder or finished the fight even more brutally than Joshua managed to do. Most boxing experts sided with Garcia, agreeing that this wasn't anywhere close to elite level boxing. Even now, after the fight ended, people are still trashing the matchup, with observers arguing that an Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight should have never been approved to begin with.
I mean, look, fair play to Jake Paul. He has a lot of guts, and the fact that he wasn't carried out of this fight on a stretcher, you know, certainly I guess you can say is a positive. But what did I think about this? What did I think about Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul? Look, it felt like Anthony Joshua carried him. It felt like Jake Paul brought in as much of a negative anti-style as possible, circling away, constantly holding Joshua, constantly falling to the ground. Again, while you're certainly going to give respect for the YouTube star turned fighter for having the guts to put on this type of show and to stand in there for as long as he did until a clean right hand in the corner when Paul was absolutely exhausted, dropped him and ended the fight. This is not elite boxing. And we knew that coming in, but if these fights are going to be sanctioned as official fights, like the Mike Tyson fight from last year, like this one,
making these concerns even worse, Oscar De La Hoya spoke out about Jake Paul's earlier fight with Mike Tyson, claiming that bout was completely staged too. He broke it down by saying Paul basically paid Tyson to take a dive and let him win, pointing out that tons of analysts noticed Tyson clearly holding back and not fighting with the killer instinct everyone expected from a real professional fight. De La Hoya made it clear this wasn't just a one-time thing, suggesting there's been a whole pattern of fake results throughout Paul's entire boxing career.
About how staged this fight was, I do believe it was scripted. What? And I believe that Tyson was certainly held back. What? Look, I'm a fighter and I can see it. It goes on the record. What? And it was sanctioned. What? So Jake Paul paid to get the W on his record? Bruh. For what? For your own personal satisfaction? Bruh. I keep telling you, if you want to be a real fighter, like you say you want to be,
even though Tyson has completely denied any claims about the fight being scripted, his actual performance left countless fans feeling cheated and wondering if this fight should even count as part of his official boxing record. For someone with Tyson's legendary reputation, the complete absence of his trademark aggression was shockingly obvious, creating serious doubts about whether the fight was legitimate at all.
Who Kid, recently broke some news about how he spoke to one of the Paul brothers and that they had an agreement that no one was supposed to get severely injured and that the fight had to last at least through the 6th round. As I was watching the fight, I'm like, damn, it looked like Mike came out a little hot, and I saw him do this one thing where he kept biting his gloves. I know there was a big age discrepancy here, right? Jake Paul being 27, Mike Tyson being 58, of course. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, is he biting onto his glove to hold back? Because it looked like he had something there. Even some of the jabs Mike threw, I'm like, he stopped his punch. I'm not trying to be conspiracy theorist here, but thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't know if Mike completely exerted himself or he just got really tired.
I don't know about it being rigged or not, but I do feel bad for people who really are invested in the sport.
You want to know why I also think it might be a bit rigged? When the fight ended, Jake Paul kept calling out other fighters, and he kept referencing, you guys need me, you guys need me, and I'm realizing he's meaning his money. So if boxers and people in the industry know that, hey, if we go get with Jake Paul, we'll make X amount, I wouldn't
Get that nonsense out of here. During the Jake versus Tyson fight, tons of people called out suspicious rules that seemed designed to help Jake win, especially a contract clause that supposedly would have cost Tyson money if he knocked Paul out too quickly. This created major red flags about whether the fight's result was determined by legal agreements instead of actual fighting ability.
Y'all already know I'm mad about this fight. I really wasn't even going to talk about it because I already felt like it was a setup. But when Trick Daddy Dollars posted this on Instagram, it really just confirmed and solidified everything. So, Trick Daddy Dollars posted this on Instagram, and I'm going to read it to social media. So, it says the rules for the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight are designed to favor Jake Paul. These include: the rules are extremely favorable to Jake Paul. The contract will incentivize Mike Tyson to lose and give Jake Paul an opportunity to choose himself as a winner. The first stipulation in the contract will punish Tyson for knocking out Jake because he is paid on a sliding scale per round. If Tyson knocks Jake out in the first round, he would receive no money. If he knocks him out in the second round, he would only make a small amount of cash. For Tyson to make the most money, he needs to survive all 8 rounds, which means avoiding knocking Jake Paul out. If the fight goes to a split decision, it favors Jake Paul because the judges have to be approved by Jake Paul. I'm gonna let y'all read that. I knew it was a setup because you know what? Mike Tyson had a lot of open air opportunity to smash Jake Paul, and he didn't do it. And I'm just like,
David Hayes shared another angle, suggesting that Paul might be seriously underestimating what it means to fight a real top-level opponent. Hay explained that Paul could be depending on his past experiences with potentially fixed fights to think he can handle Joshua without breaking a sweat. But here's the problem. Joshua has apparently turned down any scripted deals, demanding that their fight happens as a completely real competition. Hay stressed that this creates a huge problem for Paul, since he's now dealing with a genuine and extremely dangerous opponent instead of someone who might go easy on him for money or attention.
Is Anthony Joshua going to go into this fight with Jake Paul with the same mindset after seeing him fight on a beat on points a 58-year-old Mike Tyson? My opinion is no. I think he feels zero fear in this fight. He's in a unique situation where he's going into a boxing ring with someone he doesn't believe deserves to be there. So is he going to be paying the price in training? Is he going to be getting those early nights? Is he going to be pushing himself in sparring to get the very best out of himself, like he did for the Ngannou fight? Unknown. I don't know. I don't think he will. I don't think he'll want to risk having any hard sparring just in case he gets injured. Because if he gets injured, he misses this $75 million payday against someone he doesn't believe will be good enough to be a legitimate sparring partner for him. You know what I mean? So it's a very unusual situation, very, very unusual. And, you know, obviously all the advantages are in Anthony Joshua's favor, except this one, except the mindset factor. Jake Paul has nothing to lose. He's got everything to gain. Him reaching round 3, round 4 is a win, in my opinion, and in many people's opinion. If Anthony Joshua doesn't detonate his right hand or a jab off of Jake Paul in the first 30 seconds, minute, and put him in problems, you know, some people would feel that he's underachieved or he let boxing down. You know, people don't consider Jake Paul a real boxer because he's got such a big profile on social media and he's got that background that he's come from. But he's dedicated himself to the sport for the last 5-6 years.
Meanwhile, critics like Chris Eubank delivers a completely savage breakdown of Jake Paul's fighting ability, holding absolutely nothing back. He makes it crystal clear that when you compare Jake Paul to Anthony Joshua, there's literally no contest whatsoever. Even with all those training videos floating around the internet, Jake still looks more like a beginner than someone ready for this level. Chris points out that the footage actually exposes his lack of experience, showing someone who's still learning basic techniques instead of preparing to face a proven former heavyweight champion. According to Eubank, the difference in skill, punching power, and ring intelligence is embarrassingly obvious, proving that Jake is nowhere near prepared to deal with a fighter of Joshua's level.
Because people do this all the time. They'll be real dicks about it. Some guy will look great on the mitts. They'll go, well, the mitts doesn't count. It's like, well, it kind of does count. If I have you working out on the mitts from a year ago, and I have a new tape today, and I can juxtapose those, I actually can see some timing. I actually can see some speed. I actually can see some footwork. I can see some power, and I can compare it. Now, Jake is in a wildly difficult spot. Boxing is unlike, by example, track and field. Track and field is all about personal records. You do not need to be faster than the guy standing next to you. Right? Now you can win and you can get trophies on that, but it's not actually your goal that your coach is working on you with. You just today want to be faster, throw further, jump higher than a previous version of yourself. Boxing doesn't work that way. It is straight. It doesn't matter how good you are. It is 100% comparative to how good is this guy. I understand that. But as human beings, we have to start somewhere. And I think there are many things that are going to be wins for Jake. I do not subscribe to the idea. Now he does. He will not agree with me, but an older version of himself, as he looks back, will see that the Chael makes a very fair point. There's a number of things that are going to be wins or not for Jake. Now, Joshua's got one. Crush that man, get your hand raised. That's it. Well, I don't see it like that for Jake. I don't see it like that. And I know you guys don't either. I know you don't, because so many people that are predicting this fight won't even happen. Or that are predicting if this fight happens, these guys are going to be nice to each other. What does this word exhibition mean? Right? There's all these things where you're trying to take away, and you're not necessarily wrong. If Jake
just showing up to this fight would be considered a victory. Even with all the drama and controversy, people are betting serious cash on this fight, and the gambling activity has become its own source of controversy around the Paul vs. Joshua event. Regular fans, casual bettors, and even some celebrities have been actively placing bets on different outcomes, which is adding more fuel to the ongoing argument about whether this matchup is a real sporting event or just a money grab. However, when Rogan saw Jake Paul get knocked out by Anthony Joshua, he gave some unexpected respect where he thought it was earned. Rogan said it was actually pretty impressive that Jake managed to survive 6 complete rounds with a proven heavyweight destroyer like Joshua. He reminded people that most critics forget about the enormous gap in experience, power, and fighting intelligence between a YouTuber who learned to box and a former world champion. While getting knocked out was always going to happen, Rogan emphasized that lasting that long showed real heart, dedication, and serious physical conditioning, even though it couldn't make up for the skill difference.
Look, that guy did great for someone who's been boxing for like less than a decade. He has had no real professional opponents other than Tommy Fury that were legitimate world-class boxers.
I don't even remember what happened in the Tommy.
He lost a close decision, but it was a good fight. It was a good fight, though. He's a good boxer. If he wasn't a YouTuber, people would be way more impressed with him.
Yeah.
The problem is he was like a famous kid, and then no one took him seriously.
Yeah.
But
and then he started too with like more spectacle-ish fights. People were like, "Oh, this is you." He fought, Nate Robinson, like a basketball player.
But the thing is, he knocked Nate Robinson
He knocked him
dead.
the fuck out.
And
yeah.
it's the way he did it that I was trying to tell people. I'm like, no, that was skillful. So like, there's like boxing matches where you see two guys just slugging it out. One guy lands a punch, and yeah, he landed a good punch. What Jake did is he slid back and landed a punch.
Yeah.
It's like the athleticism along with the intelligence, the technique. I'm like, he's not even doing it that long. And he's also hyper competitive, even though he's wealthy.
Yeah.
Like you would assume that wealth would take away your drive for
but
competition.
It hasn't. Yeah.
He's also nuts. right? There's the fact that he's willing to fight the 2-time heavyweight champion, former Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah.
A guy who's gigantic in his prime, built like a Greek god.
Yeah.
And you're going to stand, and he's a one-punch killer. And you're going to stand in front of that guy. And he avoided shots till the 6th round. He just started getting tired.
Yeah, his movement in that fight was crazy.
It was very good.
Yeah.
It was very good.
He was really keeping him moving around the whole ring. And then
you can't afford to get tired. And that's the thing is, like, he gets tired in a lot of his fights in the later rounds. You should really sort that out. Because if he had a much bigger gas tank, like if he was training with like some of these elite world-class strength and conditioning coaches and just worked on his cardio, he'd be beating way more guys.
You think so?
Absolutely, 100%. Rogan gave Paul credit for showing heart during the fight, but he made it clear that absorbing punishment like the shot that broke his jaw in 2 different places can cause permanent damage and shouldn't happen again. He emphasized that the physical and mental damage from combat sports usually isn't worth the money and attention, pushing Paul to prioritize his long-term health instead of chasing even bigger fights. Rogan warned him that there's always a cost when you take repeated brain damage, including possible mental health issues and depression, and suggested he should think about retiring early rather than risking more serious injuries.
Bro, he got hit with a bomb. Breaks his jaw in 2 places. The thing is, I would hope that he recognizes is right now he's doing great and he's only, whatever he is, 28. There's a price that you pay that is not worth it. And that price is a severe brain imbalance that's going to lead you to addiction. That was real damage. The inside of your head. There's a lot of damage going on in there too. If he doesn't have your respect after that fight, that guy did great for someone who's been boxing for like less than a decade. He's got nothing but respect from me.
Do you think Jake Paul's fights are really scripted, or is it all hype? Drop your thoughts in the comments.